Right, it's really good to speak to Grazel Garcia from Grazel Garcia Psychotherapy and Associates again. And today we are talking, well, it's a bit of a peek behind the curtain, and we're trying to get into how Grazel thinks in this little interview. So, Grazel, what are the main things that you notice about your clients in session?
I mean, we look at the way their body's moving as they speak. If it's moving, if it's not moving, those are the nonverbal cues that are very important to knowing what emotions may be hidden or masked. So that's very important. Um, I also look at how they're speaking and how they're telling their stories to make sure that I'm assessing whether there's any executive functioning challenges or difficulties that's showing up. Like what we talked about in the previous episode is this person neurotypical? Is this person neurodivergent? Are there other things that I need to know about them that they may not be saying based on how they speak, how they present, um, the stories they create, or the stories they tell? So many things.
Yeah. Um, Going into sort of body language a little bit, I'm just interested in your take on this. How deep do you go into body language in terms of what you think it's saying about someone? Because I went to a talk a long time ago and they were saying if you look in this particular direction when you're talking, you're accessing this part of your brain. So that tells me that you're thinking about this without you even saying anything. Is that sort of thing true? And are you aware of that? And is that how you view the body language?
Yes, I'm aware of that. That's actually, I'm a trained brain spotting therapist. I'm not sure if you're aware of brain spotting, but that's kind of what we look for is how the eyes are moving in different directions. But it's different for every person. Someone can look on the left and talk about something really difficult at the same time, but they're looking always to the left. And that means it may be a safe resource for them to look at the left, and they don't know that because the part of their brain is going that direction to keep them regulated as they're talking about something very activating or triggering.
Yeah.
And there are some people that may look up when they're talking about something activating and triggering, and that may be a safe resource. And there are some people that if I want to really find where the trauma is in the part of their brain, I will have them follow a wand, which is what we do in brain spotting, and look at where the trauma is stored in the part of the brain. And some people, it's either down this axis or up the axis or either left or right or left or right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so it's so interesting because we talk about trauma being stored in the body and stored in the brain, and it's using eyes in that way. It's like it's literally stored in this particular place that's always in your vision, and you're completely unaware of it until you're aware of it. It's incredible. Um,
It's incredible. It's fascinating. I love the science of brain spotting. It works for I think everyone should do it.
it's great. It's probably a little bit woo woo for some people.
Yeah, probably.
um, so okay, so apart from like eye direction and things like that, what non-verbal cues or patterns do you typically look for when you're particularly when you're initially meeting a client?
Mostly I look at how the body is moving. I look for the sensations and the body language of shame, anger, sadness, loneliness, happiness, um, agitation, anxiety, nervousness. There's different ways people present themselves in those feelings. So I'm always looking at which body language is associated to a certain emotion,
Mhm.
certain feeling, with certain diagnoses.
Is that different for like every person, or are there kind of commonalities? And if someone moves their hand in this way, or they're feeling anxious type thing.
Yeah, it's different. Some people, when they're feeling anxious, they freeze. And some people, when they're feeling anxious, they talk a lot. And some people, when they're feeling anxious, they can get louder and seem agitated. So it's different for everybody.
but it's always consistent with the same person.
It's usually consistent with the same person, but somehow, sometimes you have to factor in the environment and who they're talking to,
Mhm.
especially for neurodivergent folks. They have different sensitivities that can make them react differently.
Okay, that's really interesting. So how do you tell when someone's maybe holding back or not really wanting to go there and kind of putting on a mask? How can you tell that in a session from their body language?
It could be that they're talking a lot, they don't let me in. It could be that they're taking the whole space and they've been talking for several minutes and I can't get a word in. That could be that they're avoiding me from getting to know them or getting them to a place of vulnerability. Some folks are more withdrawn and they look away. Some folks are more shut down or their arms are crossed or they won't keep eye contact. So yeah, it could be I think it's so important to look at body language and nonverbal cues because it says more than what they're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's psychologist John Delaney who keeps repeatedly saying things like behavior is a language as well, which kind of feeds into body language. So what people do tells you how they feel. It's,
Absolutely. And some people don't even know they do a certain thing until you tell them that they're doing it. And that's what I notice a lot in session is that, did you just notice that you did A, B, and C when you were talking about this?
mm,
And sometimes they don't give themselves the ability to pause to see how they're actually moving as they're talking. So it's so important for a therapist to work with a client and say, can we slow down for a little bit here and notice what's happening in your body? Because sometimes we don't know, we're going too fast.
yeah. And is that where you find the real transformation can happen when you pick out that kind of commonality in how they're behaving and you kind of shine a light on it and they go, oh, I didn't know what's going on there.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think it's so important to be able to know if you're congruent in the way you present yourself, how you talk, and how you speak. I think it gives you more data about how you're presenting to others and how others are receiving you. Sometimes, with neurodivergent folks, sometimes the hyperactive brain can present as if they're very angry, but to them they're not. But to the other person, they're viewing them as intense. But they don't realize that because it's just normal for their brain to act that way. So it's really important to be able to make things explicit in the room. So the therapist has to be really good at making things explicit in the room and slowing things down
Yeah.
so that the client is more informed about how they are and how they're presenting.
Yeah. And sort of along the similar lines, how can you tell as a therapist when things are really starting to shift and that client's really starting to grow through therapy? Are there things that kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, they're more relaxed, they're more open, they're more able to sit with discomfort, they're able to um, expand, not expand, but implement the things that they're learning in therapy with other people. And then they usually come back and report, I tried this. Or even if they didn't try it, other people in their lives are noticing the difference. And that's how you know that the person is changing is when other people are providing collateral information about how different they were back then and how different they are now.
This is where journaling really comes in. I found one of my journals from 5, 6 years ago the other day, and you just kind of get hit in the face of like, oh, I wrote that. What?
Right, right. Like you wouldn't even think that you probably had written it until you look at it because you've changed so much.
Exactly. And you're just changing like 1% a day, but for over a period of time, that really adds up. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
And
okay.
one more thing, Scott, I think what's so important for people to know is that being able to slow down and looking at how your body is moving teaches you a lot about yourself. I think it's so important to trust your body as your guide, to creating more self-understanding and self-actualization. Like you don't have to look that far for results. It's within us, right? But you have to slow down. You have to sit with with the discomfort. You have to know how your body's moving because behaviors are emotions, they're body sensations. That's pushing us to identify and talk about what's happening for us. So might as well slow down and look.
Yeah, and that's where kind of somatic practices and things like that, kind of making sure that you have tools so you can drop out of your head and into your body are so important. Are there any do you use any of those kind of somatic tools, I guess, apart from brain spotting in your sessions?
Absolutely. I think I can't speak. This is all about emotionally focused therapy, right? Like this modality really works because it allows us to slow down.
Mhm.
You can't really process emotions that fast,
Yeah,
right? So being able to slow down in emotionally focused therapy and mindfulness techniques and like you said, somatic approaches, yes, those are all incorporated in the work that we do at GGPA.
which is great, and it's, as I say, so important because I mean, certainly for me, it's a big part of my journey, just being able to drop down out of my head and into my body and actually feel, because you very often were raised not being allowed to feel.
Yes, yes. And we're raised being on the go, like just keep going and go, 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 go. And there's no time for pausing.
Yeah.
But
And,
pausing and being in our bodies is our best friend.
and that situation is only getting worse, and we're seeing that with the rise in ADHD, rise in autism, rise in all these neurodivergent conditions, and we can get into that another another time maybe. But thank you so much for your time again, Grazel, and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks, Scott.